Okay, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Wednesday, the 15th day of April 2020. This is a rescheduled meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. In an effort to adhere to the social distancing protocols and best practices imposed by the city and state authorities, the City of Jersey City has canceled all public meetings and closed non-essential services as of March 16, 2020, until further notice. As a result, this council meeting will be virtually as a video conference with public access. We had a scheduled 6 p.m. start. The clock on my computer is showing 6:11 p.m. May we kindly have a roll call for the commencement of this meeting. Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Robinson.
Here.
Councilperson Lavaro.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
We have 8 council members in attendance at 6:11 p.m. Can we kindly rise for a moment of silence, please? I would like to take this time and dedicate this moment of silence to our friend and colleague, Councilperson Yun, and to our former Councilperson Richardson, who is also a former police officer, and all of the deceased residents of Jersey City and the state and the nation due to this COVID-19 disease.
I'd like to say Captain John McNulty.
I'd like my aunt Ludi Iset.
I'd like to add Robert Bell, Charlene Mumford, John Drew, John Zeborowski.
Dr. Saif. Junior Robert Robinson. Rolando Galang. Evelyn Marshall Bethel.
God rest their soul. Please remain standing as we salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. On behalf of Council President Waterman, in accordance with the New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the amended annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2020, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Wednesday, March 25th, 2020. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Thursday, April 2nd, 2020 at 4 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Okay, council members, going to our regular order of business. We have our first 2 first reading ordinances, and if you'd be kind enough to allow me to read them into the record. The first item is item 3.1, City Ordinance 20-032, an ordinance providing for the special assessment of the cost of certain infrastructure improvements within and nearby Cole Street Park in the city of Jersey City in the county of Hudson, state of New Jersey, and authorizing the execution of certain agreements in connection therewith. Item 3.2, City Ordinance 20-033, an ordinance of the City of Jersey City amending Chapter 260, rent control. Number 1, imposing a rent freeze on all units subject to rent control as of March 15th until August 1st, 2020, and prohibiting any collection of penalty for a late payment of rent as a result of the current public health emergency declared by the Governor of New Jersey. Council members, may I have a vote on?
Sean, Mr. Clerk, do you need me to motion the ordinance that I had sent to the council today?
I believe that the ordinance has been combined with yours and the, I think it's been updated, Councilperson Solomon.
What's the update?
How was it combined? I didn't see any notice on that. I thought it was going to be uploaded separately. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, and James would be motioning to add it on as a late item.
That was my understanding as well.
I thought at the caucus, we spoke about having a discussion on trying to combine and having your changes implemented into because the ordinance did not get introduced.
Right.
Introduced at this meeting. But Nick, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that it was uploaded as such.
So that was discussed, the possibility of joining the ordinances, and that discussion was had, but ultimately was determined, as I understand it, that the administration would stand alone and Councilman Solomon would offer his as a separate ordinance.
Correct, and I think my understanding, right, is the administration didn't want there are provisions in mind that they didn't agree with, so they wanted them to remain separate.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that on the agenda, and I apologize. So then that's.
I didn't see it either.
Okay, so that's going to be. Is it the same title?
So Sean, why don't we do this? Because none of these are being voted on until the May meeting. What I'll do, just for simplicity's sake, is I'm just going to introduce it for the next meeting, which is a week from today. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
So because they're all being voted on at the same time, there's no practical difference, and I don't want us to get into a 15-minute logistical thing here. So I sent it to the whole council late last night, early this morning. I'll repeat it, send it over again. We'll put it in the system, and we'll have it for first reading for discussion on Monday, and then for vote on Wednesday, which is fine.
All right.
Okay. That
So
works.
it's gonna be put off. Okay.
I think we still need to just confirm if any changes have been made to item 3.2, because it doesn't, if there have been changes made, it doesn't indicate as such from the caucus until now.
Okay. I definitely had to misread the email that I was included on. I apologize.
So
You look it over, Brian?
yeah, I don't. It's hard to tell if this is the same version or if changes have been made. But is there a way to introduce the original version? We can make the changes during the meeting or maybe after the meeting to make sure we have the right text in here.
Brian, I can tell you in 1 second. Hold on, give me 1 second. I
apologize.
This is my version 3.2. So you're going to want to the one that's listed on the first reading. So you're going to want to include the older version, or I guess we could introduce both at the next meeting too, because functionally it's the same.
Yeah, I'd like to see it, Solomon. I'd like to send it to me again.
Yeah,
changes and anything that's been changed.
Sean, what's the procedure here as far as changes that have been made and going back to the version that we discussed at caucus of this?
So we should be introducing the original one that was on for the caucus.
Yep.
Which is, that's the original 3.2.
Yes.
Okay.
So do you have that ability to put that back in, or?
Let me, how do you want to do the vote on it? Can we, do you
Is
want to
the
wait until the
title-
right version is on
Well,
there?
the title
Could I ask
is
a
what I'm
question?
most concerned with at this point. If the title didn't change
Right.
on 3.2, we can proceed, and then we can just make sure for second reading that the body of the ordinance is correct. And the body of the ordinance should be correct for the public viewing at this meeting.
Okay.
Does this include 1 to 4 family homes?
The
This,
original does.
the original version does not, and that's the version that's supposed to be on here. Changes were made to make this Councilman Solomon's version, which should have been a separate entry that we were going to discuss, but
Mhm.
it now looks like it is Councilman Solomon's version. So the ask of the council is to vote on the original version we discussed at caucus that was presented by the administration, and then Councilman Solomon would introduce his version next week.
All right, so this doesn't include the 1 to 4 family homes?
No. It's-
Okay,
No.
Yeah.
The original.
So I think the confusion that happened, there was an email that went out, and I think it was changed, and that's why it was changed on the agenda, unfortunately.
So to be clear, we're just voting on the very first ordinance that we did prior to the amendments that were done today, correct?
At the caucus, we want to vote on the ordinance that we had in front of us at the caucus meeting.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Sean, do we take the vote now before we change it, or can I change it as the meeting goes on?
We can change it. If you want, I can come back to it. I'd rather vote on it at this meeting, so we can come back to this vote on the first readings. Let's go
Okay.
with the second readings, and while that can give you some time to,
No problem. I'll let
Put
you know
back-
as soon as we can get it updated.
I appreciate it. All right, council members, so we are going to go to our second reading ordinances while we just fix our first reading
What-
ordinance to reflect the original.
Sean, on the bond issue, Sean, I'd like to say something about that. You know, why are we, I spoke to you, Brian, about it. Why are we funding developers to the tune of $8 million? We're paying the interest on this. I mean, in the conditions right now in the city, I don't think we should be doing this. And as somebody said today, in 10 years, the road's probably going to have to be redone again. So I just can't see us bonding for 8 million. Now, Brian, I think you told me we already bonded for the 8 million today.
This is a bond that was issued in 2010. We are refinancing the debt at this point. This is something that we can't go back on at this point because the work has been done. The project is 10 years old at this point. But the market is favorable for us right now. So we expect $1 million or so in savings in overall net present value of the debt. So this is going to save us some money here.
All right, then what about the developer paying us back over 30 years?
Yeah, I'm not sure what we could ask of the developer at this point, given that this project was 10 years ago before most of us were even working here.
So,
We
sorry.
can definitely look into it, but it's
I
unlikely
think,
we're going to be able to make
I
any
think-
progress on it.
I'm sorry, I think Councilman Boggiano is asking about 3.1, the special assessment, which has the
Oh.
30-year payback and not the $8 million second reading.
Sorry,
That's on
apologies.
We can come
Which
back
one
to
you
that.
asking about?
We're now going to
Oh.
proceed to the second reading.
Okay.
Unless, Ryan, you're ready to go on the first readings.
Not ready to go on it yet. Councilman Boggiano, you had questions about Cole Street Park then?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so this special assessment is not, this is for the local properties in that area. It is not something that the city is financing.
Okay,
So it's
all right.
it's sort of like a SID assessment, a special improvement district assessment.
All right, because that's not the way it was explained last week, you know, it was, all right.
Well,
Put it like that.
Councilman, just to be clear, this is that was the first reading. So that was the ordinance that Joe Bauman talked about on Monday. The second reading is the $8 million. I think you might be juxtaposing the two of them. There's the-
All right.
So
Okay.
be clear, 3.1 is the ordinance that Joe Bauman spoke on Monday as the
Monday.
attorney for the JCRA explaining the assessment for culture.
Okay,
That is entirely on the assessment for the folks in that area, not for the city. It's not at the city's expense.
all right.
So we're going to move on to our second reading ordinances. So the first second reading ordinance we have is item 4.1, City Ordinance 20-029, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 263, retail and commercial premises to prohibit the use of disposable plastic carryout bags. At the caucus, we discussed that we would look to defeat this ordinance because we're going to be introducing a new ordinance on a future council meeting when everything clears up as far as the crisis is. Is that correct, Councilperson Solomon?
Correct.
Okay, so may I have a motion to move to defeat City Ordinance 20-029 without a public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Solomon. On a motion to defeat Ordinance 20-029 without a public hearing, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Solomon, you're muted.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Robinson. You're muted as well, Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 to move to defeat City Ordinance 20-029. So for final consideration and defeation of City Ordinance 20-029, or adoption, I'm sorry. For the final vote on City Ordinance 20-029, Councilperson Ridley.
We're voting on the defeation of the ordinance,
Yes.
defeating the ordinance. Okay, aye.
Well, no, you're gonna defeat it. So
We're defeating it now. Okay, no.
There you go. I apologize because I made you confused on that. I apologize for that. So, Councilperson Prinzary,
No.
Councilperson Baggiano,
No.
Councilperson Solomon,
No.
Councilperson Robinson,
Nay.
Councilperson Navarro,
No.
Councilperson Rivera,
No.
and Council President Waterman.
No.
City Ordinance 20-029 is defeated 0-8, with all council members voting no. Okay. On to our next second reading ordinance, which is Ordinance 20-030, item number 4.2, an ordinance of the City of Jersey City in the County of Hudson, New Jersey, amending certain provisions of City Ordinance 16.131, providing for the refunding of all or a portion of the city's general improvement bonds, taxable series 2010C, appropriating amount not exceeding $8 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $8 million in general improvement refunding bonds for the City of Jersey City for financing the cost thereof. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any members of the public that are viewing wishing to be heard? And if council members, if you can bear with me a few seconds to give anyone an opportunity that is watching to speak on this ordinance? Okay, I am not seeing any members of the public looking to speak, and I have a
Motion.
motion made by Councilperson Rivera,
Second.
and I have a second by Councilperson Prinzary to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 20-030. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson LeVaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 20-030 for final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 20-030. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson LeVaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 20-030 is adopted 8-0. Okay, on to our next second reading ordinance, which is an ordinance, item 4.3, City Ordinance 20-031. This is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 9, Parking for the Disabled of the Jersey City Code, designating a reserved parking space at 296 New York Avenue. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard? And just give us a couple of moments.
Mhm.
Motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilperson Rivera,
Second.
Second.
second by Councilperson Prinzary to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 20-031. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson LeVaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 20-031. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 20-031, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson LeVaro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 20-031 is approved 8-0. All right. I was going to move on to our public hearing. I just wanted to ask the business administrator if we're ready to go back to the first reading ordinances, or should we proceed with the public hearing on the,
We're still working on trying to revert back, so let's just continue on with the rest of the meeting for now.
okay. All righty, so Before I move on, I just want to make an announcement to the members of the public that are watching. If you want to participate in the public hearing, there is a icon there up on the right-hand corner. I don't know if you're seeing the same screen that I am seeing, but it's in the Q&A where you're able to ask questions. That's the time when I ask for a public hearing, a member of the public wishing to be heard. That's the time to actually let me know what your name is and your phone number, and we can get you on the line so then you can speak on this particular item, which is the Special Improvement District assessment. It's a public hearing on the 2020-2021 Historic Downtown SID Special Improvement District Budget and Assessment Roll. This is a public hearing on this item. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard? And just give us a couple of moments, council members, just to see if there are any members of the public wishing to be heard.
Motion.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
Hold on. I have a motion made by Councilperson Rivera. And may I have that second again?
Me, Richie.
Okay, second by Councilperson Baggiano. On the motion to close the public hearing on the Historic Downtown Special Improvement Budget and Assessment Roll, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Councilperson Labarro.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 to close the public hearing on the Historic Downtown Special Improvement Budget and Assessment Roll. I'm going to keep moving forward till I hear different from our business administrator. Alrighty, so we're going to be going to our public hearing portion, request for a public hearing. And speaker number 1 is Dana Schilling. Okay. And just give me one moment and I'll get her on the line so we'll be able to hear her. Apologize for that noise. Just give me 1 second. Dana? Okay, give me 1 second because I just want to get my timer on. Members, can we hear Dana? Dana, can you just say hello?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Dana.
Okay.
Hear her.
Give me 1 second, Dana, okay? I'll let you know when to start. I apologize. Give me 1 second. All righty, Dana, you are ready.
What I would like to say is that we have a tremendous number of people who really want to help and who are very frustrated. And I think that one thing we can do when schools to use them as staging places and to get our volunteers involved in Meals on Wheels. And also, I would like to see our people who work in stores, like grocery stores, treated as essential first responders who would get free childcare. And I think it would be safe to use a school classroom as a daycare setting for only, say, 3 or 4 children at a time rather than a full classroom full so that people can get back to work and provide essential services and also be in good shape financially. And I've seen a tremendous number of people who do want to get to work on Meals on Wheels, on food pantry, on soup kitchens, and I would like to see a coordination so that food resources can be transferred among all these food security settings. And I would also like to see people sitting down with graph paper and planning out for community gardens so that we will have some fresh food available, grown right here in Jersey City. Again, I think we need a volunteer czar who can put the energy to work and allow people to be productive and helpful but safe. Did I use up my time?
You still have some time left.
Okay, then I would just like to see a block organization where every few blocks had a volunteer block captain, and the block captain could be the person who coordinated efforts and would have, say, a spreadsheet where people do sign up, but there would be backup people so that if a person was unavailable, we could get another person. And I think that what we need to do is start thinking about sharing resources. And I would also like to see some training and train the trainer so that as soon as we can have gatherings of people again, we can have volunteers providing benefits counseling for people who need things like food stamps and disaster unemployment and registered care programs for low income and Medicaid. I think I could, if I have time left over, I'd be glad to turn that over to somebody else.
Well, we don't do that, but I appreciate your comments. If any of the council members would like to get in contact with you, we do have your phone number and your email address.
Yeah, just one very fast thing.
Yep.
That, in New York City, the big law firms are getting together and having pro bono legal advice, and I think that we have enough lawyers here who we could get started in research now and provide, I think, some very helpful research for recovery once people can start getting together again. Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana.
Sean, you gotta raise that volume a little bit.
Okay, I was actually holding
Statically
the phone
and,
at the same time. All right, so you guys had problems hearing.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, it
Some of
wasn't
it.
that loud, but it was staticky.
Okay,
Okay.
that's the loudest my phone can go. So
Okay.
I'm gonna get the next speaker on the line, and I'll do a test before I actually put the timer on, okay?
Okay.
All righty, so the next speaker is Edward Wanger,
Mm.
and he's ready to go. Okay. Yep. That's not working. Yep. He's not on it.
Okay.
Give me 1 second, guys. I apologize.
Your call cannot be completed.
He's still parked. Hold on 1 second.
Council members, while we wait, it appears as though we restore the original version of the rent control ordinance. So Sean, if you want to go back to the first readings, we're ready to do that. For those of you looking at home, you can hopefully just refresh your agenda. You might have to close all of the agenda windows and reopen them, and it should be back.
Okay. So Edward, if you're listening, something happened with the call, so if you can hang up the call that you were currently on, we're going to get you back on the line, so then we can get you back to be able to speak. Okay, so we're going to refer back to our first reading ordinances while we're working on getting it back on the line. So we're going to go back, council members, to our first reading ordinances. That's items 3.1 and 3.2, city ordinances 20-032 and 20-033. If you want, I can reread them into the record if you prefer. I'll do that. Item
Yes.
3.1 is an ordinance, city ordinance 20-032, an ordinance providing for the special assessment for the cost of certain public infrastructure improvements within and nearby Cole Street Park in the city of Jersey City in the county of Hudson, state of New Jersey, and authorizing the execution of certain agreements in connection therewith. Item 3.2, city ordinance 20-033, an ordinance of the city of Jersey City amending chapter 260, rent control. Number 1, imposing a rent freeze on all units subject to rent control as of March 15, 2020 until August 1st, 2020. And 2, prohibiting any collection of a penalty for late payment of rent as a result of the current public health emergency declared by the governor of New Jersey. Council members, just keep in mind that these items will be second reading ordinances on the May 6th meeting. So with that being said, count on items 3.1 through 3.2, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Ryan, I'd like to explain a little more 3.2. Being that you changed it. What are you changing?
So nothing was changed. We're just going back to the original version that we discussed at the caucus. Councilman Solomon had some changes that he wanted to make. He was going to introduce it as a separate ordinance to be discussed separately, but he is waiting on that for the next meeting.
All right, so this doesn't include 1 to 4 families,
No.
correct?
No, it doesn't.
All right, okay, I'll say aye then.
That's for introduction.
Yes, introduction.
Councilperson Solomon. So 3.1, I'm still waiting on the JCRA to produce the memos that they we requested for. So I'm okay with introducing it, but you know, very important that every single commitment a developer has to make in that redevelopment plan is accounted for. The plan is extraordinarily generous to developers. They're getting an empty piece of land down there was worth $80 million. So I think that's very, very important that we get that as soon as we can. And on 3.2, vote yes to introduce. I think, you know, it's important. We'll talk to my colleagues over the next week, but I think the thing to keep in mind is folks in rent control already have real protection that their rent can only go up 2% right now, whereas anyone who's not in a rent control building has no protection. So we'll talk through that, but okay with introducing this, and we'll talk with everybody about what we can do between now and Wednesday. So I for introduction.
You said the land is worth $80 million. We're not giving it to them, are we?
Well, we're not,
No.
but we gave very generous zoning, so that's why it is worth $80 million.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Which is why we got to hold them accountable for the little stuff they have to give back to us.
Okay.
All right. Councilperson Robinson.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Lavaro.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye for introduction.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye for introduction.
Items 3.1 through 3.2 are introduced 8-0. Okay. Now moving on to our public speakers. I think we're still having issues with getting Ed back on the phone. Ed, if you're watching, listening, please give us a call or hang up your phone so we can call you. That would be the best way to do it. We're going to try to keep calling you as we call the speakers. The council doesn't mind because you are the next scheduled speaker. So with that being said, I'm going to go and move to the next speaker to give Ed a chance to give us a call. I'm going to go to Ron Simonisi. If I'm mispronouncing your last name,
What happened to Megan?
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to get Ron right on the phone. Ron?
Yeah.
Okay, Ron, hold on 1 second. I want to get you as close as possible to my computer so the members of the council can hear you. Members of the council, say hi, Ron.
Hello, council.
Hi, Ron.
Is everybody here, Ron?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, Ron, your time is going to start now. You go.
Folks, I appreciate the time tonight, and I'll be brief. The Jersey City Property Owners Association completely respects the notion that we keep people as comfortable with their relations with their property owner as possible. We certainly understand the drive to freeze rents during this period. We pledge to freeze rents for 90 days. At this point, we recognize that your ordinance is intended to end when the governor's emergency restrictions end. We want to point out a couple of things. The first is, as an organization, we are committed to protecting our constitutional and property rights. We're not certain whether this ordinance is in conflict with that or not, but we do have to just bring up that if we are in opposition to this, it's not because we want to raise rent. It's because we're concerned with preserving our rights to defend our constitutional rights in later dates and for later issues. Our second issue is that if you're to pass this ordinance, what we would suggest is missing is that it does not include language that says when the emergency orders expire, you should raise rents, or you would be able to raise rents based on the CPI at what date? Is it the date of the lease termination and renewal? Is it the date of your order? Because ultimately, people are going to want to pick up their regular business again, and they would like some definition around what specifically that moment would be when, if they're able to raise rents based on a lot of considerations at this point that we all understand, but that if they were able to raise rents, they would understand what timeliness of that raise would be based on the ordinance language. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, we're just in a position to say, we recognize that there have to be all kinds of considerations around protections at this point. The organization certainly has been transparent with you about our interest in creating a reasonable rent control environment. We just think that there is the potential that the solutions that we're creating in some of these situations create very difficult unwinding problems later. Creating entitlement programs, creating support programs where they're needed is something that we're doing as individual business owners every day. Every day, a tenant will say, I'm not able to pay my rent. We have to go and deal with that tenant and their issues specifically. We don't mind doing that. We understand we should be doing that. We're committed to doing that. We don't want to lose any tenants. We recognize that many of them have been impacted in ways that prevent them from being able to pay their rent. And I think our owners as individuals are trying to address that, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay. And Ed, still no Ed, right? Okay, Ed, I'm just making another announcement.
What happened to Megan Sullivan?
Megan chose not to speak.
Oh, okay, all right.
She sent us a message. I apologize for that. I should have stated that for the record. Thank you, Councilperson Baggiano, for the catch. I'm just, we're just trying to get them on the phone, so it becomes a little confusing on my end. I apologize. So Megan Sullivan chose not to speak. Her item was addressed, and she did send us an email indicating that. So with that being said, Ed, if you are on a call, please hang up your cell phone so we can give you a call back to get you on the line if you're able to speak. With that being said, we're going to move on to our next public speaker, which is Maria Ross. And I'm going to get her on the phone. Just give me 1 second. Maria?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Maria. Give me 1 second. Can everybody hear Maria? Maria,
Maria.
can you
Yes.
say hello again?
Hello.
Yes.
Let's try that one more time, Maria.
Hello.
Is that good?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, Maria, your time starts now.
Okay. Hi. Hello. I want to thank the City Council for allowing me time to talk, and I want to offer my condolences to Councilman Yun, as all of the city is grieving for him. Okay, so my name is Maria Ross. I'm a 30-year resident of New Jersey, Jersey City, and I'm a member of the Danvers Park Association and a board member of the Pro Arts Association. And I'd like to talk about taxes. Property taxes are due in May, and I'm a homeowner. And my husband has had his business in New York City closed, and my tenants have moved out because they've moved back home. And I work part-time as a nurse in New York, and we're wondering how we're going to come up with the taxes that are due in May. I know that there are lots of several actually avenues for relief for other populations, such as like renters and mortgage, and their stimulus packages and such, but nothing seems to be coming to our way, to my husband and I, especially related to the property taxes that are due. Is the city of Jersey City going to be able to offer the taxpayers, the homeowners, which are pretty much bread and butter of, I know, Jersey City's tax base here, and we'd like to continue to be so. And I'd like to know what the city council hopefully can help us with on that. That's my question.
Okay, Maria, usually what the council will do, they have your contact information, and they'll be able to get back to you via email. And if there's anything else you would like to state, because you still have some time, you can feel free to do so.
No, not really. I just we're just wondering how we're going to be able to make the tax in May if the lockdown goes on any further. I don't know, if my husband is going to keep his business in New York, which is a bar. Our revenue streams are completely closed except for the part-time jobs that I have. And we are close to retirement age. And, we're hoping to be able to stay in our own home, but that looks like it's going to be a bleaker and bleaker likelihood if that's going to be possible or not. And that's, directly related to the high taxes in our area. And we really need some help. Okay, is that it?
That's it.
My time up?
Yeah.
Sean, I have that written down here. I was going to ask that question. What about the homeowners who can't pay their taxes?
And I think I brought that up at caucus meeting, and Brian responded. But could Brian or the law department send us something in writing that we can send to property owners? Because I think that question is going to keep coming up, and we need to be clear on what our role is and how much control we have around taxes. I know Brian mentioned Monday when I asked that a lot of that control lies with the state. So if we could get something in writing,
Sure.
what the legal ramifications are and what the rules are around that, so that we know how to properly respond to our taxpayers here in the city, that would be great.
Absolutely. I will work with the law department to get the council something as soon as we can here.
And Brian, I think we should.
Absolutely, happy to do that.
We should have the state send funding here to help people in this city that can't pay their taxes.
Sure, we will definitely relay that message.
Okay, council members, I do have Ed back on the line. Unfortunately, his phone died while he was waiting. So it actually wasn't us, and I was panicking thinking it was our system, and it wasn't. So we are still doing a great job. So I'm gonna get Ed on the phone. Bear with me 1 second. Again. 1, 2. Sorry. Ed?
Yes.
I am so sorry we couldn't get in touch earlier. Can you please say hello so the council members can hear you?
Yeah, my name is Edward Wigner, and hello, everybody in the council.
Council members, you can hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Ed, your time starts now. Go.
All right, first I want to recognize all the people in Jersey City that are really stepping up to the plate, the nurses, doctors, firemen, ambulance drivers, and everybody kind of behind the scenes, the supermarket workers that are still putting out food for us in Jersey City. And I thought it might be a good idea to put together a Jersey City-based portal where some of the people behind the scenes that are actually out there fighting the fight, like postal workers, supermarket workers, EMTs, ambulance drivers, for the people in Jersey City, if they had the opportunity, and a lot of us do, to support them and have some extra funds poured into where they get some of the things they need for providing the extraordinary services that they're providing in the city. And that's pretty much all I got to say today.
Okay, Ed, you still have time. If you wanted to add anything, you can feel free to do so.
Well, you know, life in Jersey City right now is really, it's really tough. Being constrained inside and not being able to do things one normally does. I have brothers and sisters all over the country, and a couple of them are actually sick, so it's hard to just do the day-by-day things. One of the things I think would help me and probably a lot of people is I know that parks are all locked down in Jersey City, trying to, you know, limit the social distancing. But I think that's it's not. You know, there are some people that will take advantage. The 80-20 rule does apply, where 20% of people are just, for whatever reason, just don't follow the rules. But the majority of us are good people and would take advantage of the space, respecting social distancing, and being able to get out and get some air in the city. I think it'd be a better idea just to have a park monitor, put somebody to work, put somebody on the payroll to actually monitor the parks, and anybody cause any problems, you have any ruffians that are following the rules, call the JC police, who are the top-notch police in my view in the country, and they will handle the situation and give us a little bit more space. It's Jersey City's kind of condensed and confined. And other than that, I appreciate Jersey City. I love Jersey City. I've been here for 12 years, never going to leave, and really. The way that Jersey City communicates and the police, the system, it seems really well run. You guys are doing a good job.
Appreciate your comments, Ed.
Liberty State Park should be open to the people. There's enough space there where they're not crowding. And also Lincoln Park should be open to the people.
Yeah, I'm up in Jersey City Heights, and the Palisades Park right there. That's it's just a walk-through park anyway, but they got it all curtained off. Yeah, I just think it's something that would help the general population, knowing that they could go someplace, respect social distancing, which you need. You need a park-like space, as opposed to what's happening now. People are walking down the street on confined sidewalks and needing to step out in the street to get around people.
All right, Ed. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, Ed.
Be safe. All right, council members. Next speaker is Jonathan, and I'm going to get him on the line. Just give me 1 second. Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay, Jonathan, I just want you to say hello so the council can hear you.
Hello, council.
Can the council members hear him? Jonathan, say hello again, please.
It's kind of low.
Jonathan, do you have a headset or is there a handset that you can pick up?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Sure.
Is that better?
How's that, council members?
Is that better?
Yes,
everyone?
that's good.
Yeah.
Much better. All right, Jonathan, you're Time starts now.
Excellent. Thank you very much for having me. I'm calling to discuss and get your approval on the rent freeze. My wife and I directly sort of have been affected by this. Our landlord chose to raise our rent for May 1st. And they're located in Hoboken, in which there's a current freeze. So they were well aware that, that there are things happening in terms of rent freezes. We did discuss this with them directly and expressed how we felt, how inappropriate it was to do that during this time. So, I feel like I needed to speak to your group to express the need for some sort of safeguard to be put in place. I'm not asking, and I don't think anyone is asking for free rent. I think what we're asking for is some sort of safeguard where, our rents aren't going to be increased during this time because people are experiencing, extreme hardships, whether it be loss of loved ones, whether it be loss of jobs. We directly, my full-time work is at Christ Hospital. I'm not on the front line, but, we're stressed and working as hard as we can. My wife's business is her personal business is being affected by this pandemic. So, financially, it's concerning to us. So it would be prudent for everybody to really kind of, help prevent landlords from raising rent during this time. I think that within a reasonable time frame, if there were a way to, maybe as the previous caller mentioned, putting language in there that does, protect the landowners and the property owners, but also protecting the tenants as well. So I think there needs to be a balance in that, and that would be very much appreciated, just so that there can be some peace of mind during this time. This is unprecedented, and I don't think anybody has really ever experienced anything like this before. So, we look to our leaders like you to, to support us in this. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan. This is Councilman Solomon. Can I just follow up with a quick question? Appreciate your comments. Can I ask just how many other units are in the building that you live in?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing.
There are, it's an 8-unit building. It is rent controlled. I think that, the ordinance should be just limited to rent controlled buildings. I do agree that it should be included with, 1 to 4 family homes as well.
Great. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Stay safe. All right, council members. Our last speaker has chosen not to speak. His issue has been resolved, so does not want to speak. So we're going to move on with our agenda. And we're going to go to the petitions and communications, which I have items 6.1 through 6. Excuse me 1 second. 6.60. Any questions or comments on items 6.1 through 6.60? Hearing none, we have no officer communications. We have 1 Port of Director, 8.1. And on to our claims and addendum number 1. Council members, on claims and addendum number 1, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary. You're muted, Councilperson Prinzary.
Sorry about that. Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Baggiano,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Councilperson Navarro,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Claims and addendum number 1 are approved 8-0. On to our resolutions. And the resolutions, I'm going to go by item number. So we're going to be taking, a vote from item 10 through 10.1 through 10.13.
Clerk, can I ask a quick question of the administration first?
Sure.
Say for the BA, I didn't see it on this list here, but are we going to receive a contract for the testing sites? Is that in the works, or has that
yeah, so because of the state of emergency, we are allowed to initiate certain contracts without going to council first. We do have to come back to council at some point, but we just haven't. It's just been so many things going on. We've made some changes to the contract over the last couple of weeks since we started it. So we haven't put that forward yet, but it will be coming soon.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted an update.
Okay, so council members on items 10.1 through 10.13. Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
I'm going to vote no on 10-11 and then vote aye on all the rest.
thank you. Councilperson Robinson. You're muted, buddy.
Aye.
Councilperson Navarro,
10.2, sorry. So Brian, you responded and said that the Turnpike is the property owner on this?
Yes.
And so they're not required to pay property? Is that?
Yeah, they're not. And this was an error from the beginning of the ownership of the property that was just noticed for some reason recently. That's why they made this appeal. The good thing for us, I guess, is that they can only go back a certain number of years, 3 years prior, to get the appeal funds back.
10.6, the long-term control plan. Did you get is that for a regional plan, or is that?
Yeah, apologies, I forgot to include that. That is a worst case scenario, and it could be. It's hopefully not going to be that much, but it could be.
Do you have any idea of whether that's for a local plan or meaning for Jersey City's own improvements, or is it for? Because I know there was talk of a regional plan with Passaic Valley Sewerage Commissioning, I believe, to do that. Was that which scenario is being contemplated? I believe there was supposed to be a decision made, maybe in May or June, that we were supposed to send to the state. I'm assuming all that stuff is being delayed at this point.
Yeah, it's all been delayed. So can you just clarify the question here? The
number of $2 billion that was estimated as the cost for a long-term control plan. Was that cost based on a local plan just to do Jersey City's enhancements, or is that a regional plan?
That number is regional, and we could probably have a side conversation about this, but the improvements and changes that we would need to do locally vary based on the degree of impact that we want to have on the system. So we could do some small things and make some minimal changes. We could do a lot of things and spend a lot of money. It's not something that's going to take us 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years. It's going to be a very long-term thing, hence the long-term control plan.
Okay. And then, did you have any information about the green infrastructure? I don't know if I think I asked that question. with whether that included that $2 billion estimate included.
Yeah, again, it depends on the direction that we take. So one of the options, for example, could be literally a separation of the sewer systems where we build a totally separate storm water management system. Another probably hybrid option that we would end up, that's more reasonable for us, would be something that includes green infrastructure and gray infrastructure in these new developments and stuff like that. So yeah, green infrastructure will be included.
Okay, so I mean, look, for this particular resolution, not necessarily relevant, but you know, kind of going forward as we move forward with this long-term control plan, the incorporation of green infrastructure could substantially reduce that $2 billion figure. So I just want to put that on the record. It's my understanding that in the city of Philadelphia, they when they put forward their plan, it came out initially with predominantly gray infrastructure and an estimated cost of $1 billion just for the city of Philadelphia, and that the feds came back to them, I think EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, came back to them and said that they needed to do more green infrastructure, and as a result, they incorporated considerably more green infrastructure and reduced their cost down to $200 million. That's 20% of the cost of kind of the gray infrastructure. I'm not suggesting that it'd be all green infrastructure per se, but we have not had that conversation here at the city, or at least I'm not aware of it, and I've asked for a meeting with the MUA. Obviously, these conditions don't allow for that with this public health crisis that we have right now, but certainly I want to keep that on the radar and to say that we should not lose sight of that, because when we think about the long-term financial crisis that we have here potentially with Jersey City, the opportunity for incorporating green infrastructure and saving considerable amount of money only makes sense even more so now. The last thing on this, we're going through 1016. Is that correct, Sean, or am I?
Yes.
1013.
We're going from 10.1 through 10.13.
Okay. Was there a decision on the 10.11 with regard to the flooring, and Councilman Boggiano had raised the?
I was going to change my vote on that, Rolando. I think they should hold off on that.
Yeah.
So I will note in my caucus follow-up email, I did indicate that this is a trust account that is used for a variety of things at the court. It is not something that we could necessarily use for other sources, including trying to cover some of the salary gaps that we're going to have and lost revenue from the coronavirus pandemic. It is something that, you know, the work could probably hold off, but getting the contract in place is not going to necessarily, or holding off on that contract wouldn't necessarily free up funds that we could use for other things.
Okay.
Okay. And then I think it was 10.12 that I raised the question of whether that could be operating versus capital dollars.
Yeah, so this also is another grant account specifically for equipment for the fire department. Sorry, my phone is going off here. So it's a dedicated account for that. So we could technically use capital dollars, but this is a grant account that has no interest on it and is not operating either. So it's the best of both worlds.
Okay, that one is, I must be looking at the wrong one. I remember there was another one maybe with the operating dollars. I don't recall which number that was. And then, sorry, flipping through my pages here. Okay, so I'm going to, not opposed to the carpeting, but I think we should probably take a closer look. I'm going to vote no on 1011 at this time, and I'll vote aye on all the rest.
Okay. Councilperson Boggiano, before I move on to Councilperson Rivera.
Like I said the other night, I think it's the wrong time to be spending money on anything like this when we have so many other problems right now in the city.
So you're voting no on item 10.11?
Yes, yeah.
And aye on all the rest?
Yes.
Okay. Councilperson Rivera.
So on, I'll abstain on 10.8. And I vote aye on the rest.
Okay. And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Alrighty, items 10.1 through 10.7 are approved 8-0. Item 10.8 is approved 7-0-1 with Councilperson Rivera abstaining. Items 10.9 through 10.10 are approved 8-0. Item 10.11 is approved 5-3 with council members Baggiano, Solomon, and Lavarro voting no. And items 10.12 through 10.13 are approved 8-0. Okay. On to our next set of resolutions, items 10.14 through 10.24. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
No on 1020 and 1021, and aye on all the rest.
Okay. Councilperson Robinson.
No on 21, aye on all the rest.
Councilperson Lavarro.
Brian, this is the one, 10.15, I think, was operating dollars being used there for radio accessories. I think I'd asked a question on this one about, actually, maybe it was 10.1, 10.16. Yeah, 10.16. No, 10.15, because it was actual equipment. Whether that could be capital dollars. Brian?
Sorry, I was on mute. I was looking at the wrong one when you asked that question, so I don't have a confirmation on that, actually. I apologize.
Okay. And then and so there's no changes to 10.21, just moving forward with it as it stands.
Yeah, moving forward with it as it is. I did provide the list of courts that the contract covers for servicing. Also want to reiterate that this is an as-needed contract, so regardless of the dates of the contract, it will allow the vendor to repair courts as needed. So theoretically this year, if there's less usage, there will hopefully be less costs.
Okay, I'm going to vote no on 21 and aye on all the rest. Until what number were you going to, Sean?
24.
And no changes to the others then, not to the paper contract either? Hello?
No.
No. Okay, so I'm going to vote no on 21, vote no on 24, and aye on all the rest. Sorry.
That's okay. So you're voting no on 1021 and 1024, and aye on all the rest.
Yep.
Very good. Councilperson Rivera.
I'll vote aye.
Thank you. And Council President Waterman.
Aye. Aye, Sean.
Thank you. Okay, so on from items 10.14 through 10.19, those items are approved 8-0. Item 10.20 is approved 7-1 with Council Member Solomon voting no. Item 10.21 is approved 5-3, with council members Solomon, Robinson, and Lavaro voting no. Items 10.22 to 23 are approved 8-0. Item 10.24 is approved 7-1, with council member Lavaro voting no. On to our next set of resolutions, their item numbers, items 10.25 through 10.34. Councilperson Ridley.
To 34, correct?
Correct.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Pranderi.
Aye for all.
Thank you. Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Solomon.
No on 1026. Abstain on 1027. And aye for all the rest.
Thank you. Councilperson Robinson.
Could you
Aye
put them
for
up
all.
again, Sean?
Bernadette, if you can put up the resolutions for us, for the council members, please. Thank you. So we have items 10.25 through 10.34. And we are now with Councilperson Lavaro.
Sorry, just give me 1 second. Brian, did you have anything, I'm looking at your responses on the corrective action plan, with regard to the ongoing timeline, implementation timeline, and in particular with regard to the first two items, I guess, did you have any further clarity on that in terms of the timeline on that?
Yeah, so item number 1, the fixed asset manager, we're still working on finding the right person for that. We hope to have that done soon, though. And to be clear here, this is, we think one of the first times we're ever going to have a position that is solely dedicated to this sort of thing, or somebody at least with that role that does other work as well. For number 2, we are actually aiming to reconcile last year by this week. There's only a couple of things left to do, so this is much sooner than previous years, thanks to what we hope is a more efficient and more streamlined Department of Finance that we have in place now.
Okay. So I'm glad to hear that on number 2 that we're looking at an end date there and getting that done. I'm still, this idea of the fixed assets and the inventory of our systems that's been an ongoing issue, and so I'm going to vote no on 10.27. Because I think we do need to, it doesn't sound like we have a firm timeline on that or a clear timeline as to when we'll get that resolved. And so I'm going to vote no on 1027 and aye on all the rest.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
I vote aye.
Thank you. And Council President Waterman.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Okay. Just to recap, item 10.25 is approved 8-0. Item 10.26 is approved 7-1, with Councilperson Solomon voting no. Item 10.27 is approved 5-1-1, with Councilperson Solomon abstaining and Councilperson Lavaro voting no. Items 10.28 through 10.34 are
Sean,
approved.
wouldn't that be 6-1-1 for 27?
Correct. I
Okay.
stand corrected. So item 10.27 is approved 6.11. 6-1-1. Thank you, Brian. Eyes are playing tricks on me. So we have Councilperson Solomon abstaining and Councilperson Navarro voting no. Items 10.28 through 10.34 are approved 8-0. Thanks for the catch. Okay, on to the next set of resolution and items. Items 10.35 through 10.45, with the exception of 10.41, which has been withdrawn. Councilperson Ridley.
Abstain on 10.36 and aye on all the rest.
Okay, thank you. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Robinson.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Navarro.
To what number?
Items 10.35 through 10.45, with the exception of 10.41, which has been withdrawn.
Okay. Just when will the resolution for the closed session on 41 be at the next meeting?
That is going to be at the next meeting. We'll
Okay.
have a resolution on for the next meeting, and we'll have the date and time set on that resolution.
Great. I vote aye for all.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera
Aye for all.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye for all.
Thank you. Okay, just to recap, item 10.35 is approved 8-0. 10.36 is approved 7-0-1, with Councilperson Ridley abstaining. Items 10.37 through 10.40 are approved 8-0, and items 10.42 through 10.45 are approved 8-0. And the balance of the remaining resolutions, items numbers 10.46 through 10.52. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
A question for the administration on 1052. I know, BA, in your email, you said you'd have more information, but I didn't recall seeing it. I think
Yeah.
the two questions I had were, commitments around release of who gets the money, and then I guess a question around the idea of matching if most of our small businesses missed out on the state grant due to how quickly it was depleted.
Yeah, so I apologize. I'm looking through my emails and I sent a reply with more information at 2:35, but it looks like it got stuck in my drafts. So I apologize for that. I can resend it right now, but it had a list of all of the accounts, what they were previously and why they're being reprogrammed. Long story short, it's projects that are not shovel ready. It's things that got funded in other places or things that we're going to be able to fund in the next allocation. The other item you mentioned about what if businesses missed out on the EDA funds, we've made some changes to this resolution to allow more flexibility for the EDC to have discretion and fund small businesses and provide support to other groups that may not have received that EDA grant. We're going to be combining the COVID relief private donation fund and this $1.5 million to put together a good package based on the need that we have here. We heard that I think there were only a couple of Jersey City businesses that might have received an award, and we have thousands here. So it's something that we're looking into. The one issue that I want to make everyone aware of is that CDBG dollars have a lot of restrictions and through the federal government, through HUD. And so those dollars are restricted to the uses, although the resolution and the contract will be sort of vague. No matter what the EDC does with those dollars, they have to abide by the HUD and CDBG rules for those. That's why the private donation fund is so important here. If there's a business that doesn't necessarily qualify for CDBG dollars, we can supplement with that.
And what about the commitment to release for
Yes.
people? I don't think we should do it, but for businesses to say, they were awarded a grant.
Yep, that is included in the resolution now. It's one of the changes we made. It will be one of the last where I'm just looking in the list here. It does say that we are going to. Oh, it's the last whereas now. The city shall provide a publicly accessible webpage with regular updated information that lists the applicants for relief, etc.
Okay, that's great. Everything you said is great, and I just reiterate, given how quickly that fund was depleted and how desperate some of our businesses are for grants, I just want to make sure we accommodate them, and it sounds like that's where we're going. So I appreciate that. So with that, I can vote aye on all the rest.
I also want to note, I apologize, that we're going to set up a separate application for these dollars now. Before we were asking businesses to go through the EDA first, only a couple got through, so we're just going to do a totally separate application.
So, Councilperson Solomon, I just want to recap. You're voting aye on all from 10.46 through 10.52, correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilperson Robinson.
Aye for all.
Thank you. Councilperson Lavaro.
So Brian, that email regarding 10.52, you said you just sent it, or?
I was muted. Sorry, I am sending it right now.
Okay.
To everyone, I apologize again. That email only has the list of, it's more description of what funds were reallocated for this purpose.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to vote aye for all, and just for the record, I hadn't reviewed the email, obviously because we're just getting it now, but so I don't know necessarily what was unfunded, but if there was anything that was unfunded that is a essential project or that we want to see get done, we'll certainly work to make sure that that gets funded in the next cycle or through other means. So with that being said, I'm going to vote aye for all.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye on all.
Thank you. And Council President Waterman.
Aye on all.
Thank you so much. And let me recap. Items 10.46 through 10.52 are approved, 8-0. Council members, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up and let you know that my advertisement for the second readings for May 6th is going to include the two ordinances that were introduced today, and I'm also including an ordinance that we left off from before the crisis occurred. We had an ordinance number 20-26, which was introduced, and I was instructed to put that on the March 25th meeting, which got canceled, unfortunately, and we weren't able to get it on for this meeting. So, and that's the ordinance vacating 17th Street pursuant to the Jersey Avenue redevelopment plan. Councilperson Solomon, I know you had some questions about that as well, and that's why we were going to prolong it and push it to the March 25th meeting, but it didn't make it. But it will be a second reading on the May 6th meeting. So I just wanted to let all the council members know.
I wondered where that went.
Sean, can we get the agenda sent to us before Monday for the next meeting?
So when you're saying sent to you, it'll be posted on iCompass on Friday.
You'll also get an email.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you so much.
And let me ask you something else. Brian, the tax office, is it open?
It's open 10 to 2 every day. It's by appointment only, just as everything else is. So make sure if anyone has any issues that they call before they come. We're trying to keep all appointments to Fridays at this point, if at all possible, just to minimize the interactions in the building and with the staff in that office.
Because I just got a text that a person's taxes for the last 6 months haven't been posted, but I believe they cash the checks. So I'll tell her to call tomorrow morning.
Yeah, they're processing. It's taking a little longer just because some of the paper checks are in the office and there are not people there at the same number of hours, but they are processing.
All right, I'll have her call, tell her to call.
Yep, between 10 and 2.
All right, what number is the best for her?
I don't have it offhand, but
All right, that's all right. I can look it up. I can look it
yeah,
up.
5200. They can call RRC, and then RRC will redirect.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Yep.
And just a point of info, if you haven't noticed, myself and our business administrator are wearing our bow ties in memory of our late council member, Yun. And I just wanted to point that out because I think it's really special. Just me personally, we're really saddened and we're heartbroken over the losses that we've had throughout Jersey City and throughout the nation. But personally, with Councilperson Yun and former Councilperson Richardson, hits the heart. But I did want to show my appreciation of Councilperson Yun because he always told me you got to be a sharp dressed man when you're sitting in that chair doing those council meetings. So I wanted to, have that for his memory. So on that note, may I have a motion to adjourn at 7:40?
Sean,
Yeah.
just let the other council people know, Mrs. Young is doing better and hopefully she'll recover fully. All right?
Great.
Awesome.
That's good to hear.
Motion to adjourn.
We need great news.
Yeah.
We have a
Second.
motion to adjourn by Councilperson Solomon. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Prince Airy. All in favor of the motion to adjourn at 7:40 p.m. by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are
Aye.
out of here at 7:40 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone. Please adhere to all of those notices. We cover up and stay safe. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Good night, Sean.
Good
Good
night.
night,
everyone.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.